for a living? You get a W-2 income right now, W-2. Put your hands up. I want to see them. Put your hands up real high. A W-2. So there is, you work right now for W-2 income, right? I want to talk to you guys too. You know the difference between W-2 and 1099 income? Yes? How many of you know the difference between the two? Few people. The MDs and above should know that, right? The moment your 1099 is bigger than your W-2, you can walk away. Is that true?
Yeah.
Is that what you want to do?
Yes.
All right? Let me share a few thoughts on
It's so funny to see an Indian
the other
with a
works,
cowboy
right?
accent. I've never seen that.
Okay. You know, let me ask you, because I don't know, in the Houston area, the Texas region, you know, the average income there is only about, I don't know, about $35,000 a year.
Wow.
Okay. Can you help me out? What's the average income here in the Bay Area?
100.
100,000?
80,000.
50,000? That's about right. About 50,000, right? 50,000. You would have to make what, about 30 bucks an hour or so to make about 50,000, maybe a little less? About 25 bucks? I lose my math nowadays. All right? Okay. Let's talk about this. How many of you that's working for W-2 right now makes at least 33 bucks an hour? At least 33 bucks an hour. Put your hands up. And you still work full-time W-2. Put your hands up. I want to see you real high, real quick. This is for you guys. You'll make at least 33 bucks an hour. You want to know how to transition, right? Can I talk to you real quick? Right? This is where we get something out of here today. Look, if you make 33 bucks an hour.
Four.
There we go. 33 bucks an hour. Do you work 40 hours a week? Somebody help me. How much is that?
68.
1320. 1320? Is that about $1,320 per week?
Exactly.
Yeah. So you work 40 hours a week at 33 bucks an hour and make $1,320 a week, which is about 55, something like that, right? Is that correct?
68. 68,000.
68,000? Is that correct? 68,000?
Yeah.
Okay. You know what that? You know how to replace that here? Do you know how many of you are licensed right now? You're licensed. You got a license. Let me see your hands. Put them up. Right, you're licensed. You at least have an associate contract. Put your hands up. Raha.
Am I associate?
Okay.
No.
Look, if we do one client a week, about $250 per month, monthly premium. That's target of $3,000, correct?
Yes.
What's 45% of $3,000? Is that 1320?
1350.
1320, I think, maybe 1360, something like that. It's more than 1320, about 1350. Thank you, guys. Let me ask you this: if you have an associate contract right now, 45%, and if you went to work 40 hours for the week, don't you think you could find one client that could save $250 a month? Be honest with me. Yes or no?
Yes.
If you work 40 hours, but the challenge is most people are willing to give 40 hours because somebody's paying you 33, 34, 35 bucks an hour. Is that true? And you cannot put that same 40 hours when you come here in the business. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I hear a lot of people come and say, you know, my official name is LaJoy Thomas, but a lot of people call me Lee. They say, Lee, I really tried and I couldn't make it. How many of you got that before? I really tried the business, but I couldn't make it. Anybody got that and they quit?
Yes.
You know what I tell them? You didn't even try. You showed up to a couple of meetings. You didn't come to a big event. You don't go to work at least 20 hours a week, and you quit. If you quit halfway through your college, would you be where you are today?
No.
You had to go through the whole 4 years, 6 years, 8 years. Is that true? Why is it you come in the business, you give it 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and quit? I've been in the business 15 plus years. I came here as a client 17 and a half years ago.
Wow.
Okay? I was pretty young back then. And I'm still young, right? Let me tell you the beautiful thing about business. It took me 14 years to transition from a full-time. But you know what? Let me tell you. My part-time in the business was 25, 30 hours a week for a long time. I had 2 six-figure careers for a long time. Is that okay? Right? You know, to me, I'm just amazed at how many Filipinos we got in here. Let's just show hands. If you're Filipino background, right? Whether you're born in the Bay Area or born back home. In the Philippines. Let me see your hands.
Multiple.
Oh my goodness. Give yourselves a big hand, right? I'll tell you this. We need to take a few of you so we don't have any Filipinos in our office. Is there any Indians in this house? Any Indians? Man, 3. You guys from the North India, right? You guys are business guys already. Any South Indians in the house? Nobody.
Let's hear it for the whites.
You're like me. You're the minority here. Look, 15 and a half years, I have not been able to build a single guy in my community from South India. My entire lineup. I'm promoting my 9th direct SMD this month. He's coming out. We're waiting for his official update. I got 3 of them is Vietnamese, 2 African American, 1 Hispanic, and 1 Black American. Think about this for a second, right? And my super team, we got another 3. That's African American and Black American. No Indians, no Filipinos, no Chinese in that entire lineup.
Wow.
That's what we have here. Is that true?
Yeah.
That's why this is so powerful. You can't tell us that this does not work. Is that true?
Yeah.
I struggled with that a long time. How many of you come in here, you don't know if this is really going to work for you? Be honest. Everybody, how many of you been in the business less than 6 months? That's quite a few of you. You're totally sure you're going to win, right? Yes? That's good. Man, that's the attitude you got to have. Because you know what? Every one of you sitting here, you're going to make money. If you stay here long enough, you're going to make money. I know that already. Right? You know, when I went full-time in WFG 11 months ago, right? I was making about $140,000 in WFG. I was making about $146,000 in my full-time job. I was making this. I was getting busy with the business. I made that decision after WSB school in Sedona Bend. I went back. I wasn't planning. I was still planning to keep my career because I'm a guy that likes security. And even at that time, I have over $1 million saved up. And if you guys are going to be at G School, I'm going to show you where I got it saved up. Right? Because if y'all know my story, I went through a major emergency about 8 months ago. I had 5 bypass. I went through heart surgery.
Wow.
Okay? I look pretty healthy, right?
Yeah.
Y'all know I'm uninsurable today. I'm about to turn 41 in a few months, and I'm uninsurable in the market. I can't even buy an Everest policy. You understand that? Right? Those of you that sell Everest, right? Those of you, but the good thing is, I paid attention to the stuff 17 years ago. I got a few $1 million worth of insurance. I got a few $1 million saved up. Is my family in a pretty good place?
Yes.
There's 2 things. When you're about to die, let me tell you, when I was going into that surgery, you know, the things that come up, we have 3 kids. I've been married 16 and a half years. I got 3 wonderful kids, 11, 9, and 5. And they were a little bit younger when we were going through surgery. My wife spent 10 nights in ICU with me. They told me prior to the surgery, you're pretty healthy, you're 40 years old, you're going to recover in about 4 days and go home. Recovery is about 6 weeks and you're going to be back at work. I was planning to go to New Jersey to train Ben. And I didn't cancel any of my travel plans. New Jersey, Hawaii the following month, right? Where you guys all went. I miss Hawaii because I was still in rehab. I could barely walk during Hawaii when you guys were in Hawaii. I had to go through basic life skills again. I had to learn how to, those of you that got a guest in the BPM, please take care of the guests. Let me ask you this. Those of you who don't have enough protection, or if you got term protection, and that's all you can afford, great. But you got converted to something permanent pretty quickly. Because what if I was that guy that bought term, and now my term comes up maybe in the next 10 years, do you think I'm going to qualify for insurance? No. You know, people tell you to become self-insured. Yeah, we got money, but you want to protect that estate. Is that true? Yes. You need insurance. You got to think about those things. Let's talk about something else for a second. How many of you make at least 46 bucks an hour? One of you guys, pull your calculator out for me. At least 46. What is that?
1840.
1840? The accurate number?
Oh, trust me,
it is. Okay, I trust you. 1840 a week, right? 46 bucks an hour. If you, those of you that just got promoted MD, I'm so excited for you guys. Okay, congratulations first of all to you. That's your first step to building a big business. MD contract puts you at a 62% contract. Is that right? Is that right? 62% contract. Can you do one client an entire week, 40 hours, that can save $250 a month for their family's protection, save for their kids' college, put money away for their retirement, put money away for their long-term savings? Can they do that? Yes. One family, 40 hours for the whole week. But you know what the challenge is? Most people are willing to give 40 hours to somebody else and give WFG maybe 5 or 10 hours a week. Is that true? And they tell us they tried. They come to one meeting and they say they tried. I don't see them all week long, but they tried. How you really try when you don't do? You can't try anything here. You're going to lose already. You understand? You got to change your verbiage. For you to make new money, you got to be new you. You know, I'm pretty excited for a guy like Justin. Young guy, right? Justin, how old are you? 31. I was, you know, it only took you 2 years to come out of your shell. It took me about 7 or 8 years to come out of my shell. I was very introverted. I used to be the guy that I used to hide in the office when the meeting started. I'd come sneak in the back of the room and leave. I didn't want to talk to anybody. Anybody like that? A lot? So y'all can relate to me, right? And I said, man, I don't want to be up there. I don't want to train. I just want to come here and do the business, go home. What is our business? It's people. Is that true? Yeah. It's working with people, building people, training people. Is that true?
Right.
A year ago, we had only about 70 licensed agents. I went full-time 11 months ago, and out of that, I was out 3 months. We went from 70 licensed agents to 224 licensed agents in less than 11 months. We're trying to grow that to 1,000 licensed guys this year. I'm on a warpath. And because that's the only way I can bridge the gap. I was just telling Vivian and Louie, great leadership, by the way. I was hanging out with them yesterday. Incredible people. Give them a big hand. Right? I told them I'm a year behind them. Right? For me to catch up, I got to have different strategies. Right? I use technology to compress that gap. I like the way Ben's building out in Alaska. Man, how do you build like that if you don't use technology? Is that true? It used to be, man, we have to fly all over the place to train a guy. We train for 3 months, and then they quit.
Oh, no.
Right? Then we start the whole process, another location. We go there 3-4 months, they quit. Right? Here we are, we're the ones that put the money out, rent the hotel space, and they go, well, it doesn't work. And they give you 10 hours a week, at best. But they go to their boss and give them 48, 50 hours a week. Is that true?
Yes.
Got to change the way we think. How many of you feel as an MD contract, you could do just one account the entire week? Just one account. One account the entire week. Yeah? Is that, how much is 62% of 3,000? 1860. You can make $1,860 per week if you do just one client. What if you're that guy that can do 2 clients a week? You know, right before I came here, I did 7 clients in 1 week. SMD contract, right? SMD contract. We're going to wrap up our EDC this month. Okay? Look. By the time we walk into Vegas, you can write this down. Lee's going to walk into Vegas with 18 direct SMDs in Vegas.
Wow.
And this year, we're going to win the super base battle. It might take me another year to catch up and be number 1, number 2. We got to have a game plan for those things. Is that true?
Yeah.
Those things don't happen by chance.
Yeah.
You got to know you're going to win. You got to know you're going to build that wealth for the family. And you know, when I bring a guy in, my last 2 SMDs we promoted, Ben, 8 months, 6 months SMD. That never happened on our team. Most of our SMDs, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years.
Wow.
My last one, this is what I told him. I bring him right off the back, I tell him, look, if you give me 20 hours a week, we could go from an associate to a senior marketing director in 9 to 12 months. Is that okay for you to give me the next 9 to 12 months, give me 20 hours a week? 20 hours a week. You got to give me 20 hours a week. And the question most people ask, what do you do for 20 hours a week? Is that true? How many of you have that question? Be honest.
Yeah.
Do you know exactly what you're going to do when you go to your job for 40 hours a week? You figure out once you get there. Is that true? Your boss tells you what to do. When you show up to the office, do you think there's stuff going on all day long? The problem is you don't know what to do when you get there. You know, when you come to the office, I walk in my office at 8:30 in the morning, Monday through Friday. Saturday morning, I'm there at 8 a.m. Let me tell you why. I've been like that for a long time. Where I'm going to beat my competitor is my level of discipline. I got a high level of emotional discipline. I got a high level of financial discipline. I got a lot of discipline when it comes to time. Matter of fact, I'm going to finish this meeting today at 10:43. I'm going to be downstairs. Trust me, I'm good with my time. That takes high level of discipline on a consistent basis for you to do that. Is that true?
Yes.
You got to know your strengths. You got to play your strengths. I know where my strengths lie. I came from a corporate background. I was an imaging director for 3 hospitals. I was over radiology and cardiology. Anybody in the healthcare industry? Yeah, a few. My wife used to be a bone marrow transplant nurse. Wow. She used to work at MD Anderson. I retired her while I was in the hospital in ICU on my 8th night. I told her, honey, just put your 30 days in. And she goes, my boss says, take as long as you need. And she was only working 2 days a week. I said, look, I'm going to be in rehab 3 days a week. I got doctor's appointments on a weekly basis when this is done, if I come out of this. And really, I didn't know if I was going to come out of that. I was on a intubated. I was intubated for about 4 days. Usually they take you off intubation your first day or second day. Is that true? I was on an external balloon pump for 6 days. Chest tube for another 7 days. Learning to walk on my 9th day in ICU. My muscles were completely what do you talk about?
Atrophy.
Messed up, where it's just like rubber. You can't walk. You can't move. They pulled the artery out of my arm, 2 arteries behind my breastplate, a vein out of my leg. I can't walk. I'm jacked. And when you think about it, there's only 2 things that you're concerned about. 1, you got to know exactly where you're going to be when you're gone.
Yeah. And
2, you got to make sure your family's financially taken care of. Is that true?
Yeah.
It's 2 things. And if you answer to both of those that yes, you're in a pretty good place. If the answer to any one of those that no, you got to sit down with somebody that's mature enough to help you answer those questions. Hope you get that message. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because if your family's not, you can't say when you walk out of here, if you don't know if your family's going to be in a good place or bad place, you got to fix it quickly. You don't have a lot of chances. Is that true? Thank God that you had as many chances you had that you could still come for another training. What if you couldn't? I couldn't even step foot into my office for 3 months. 3 months. I was totally messed up. I had to get help to get into a car. I couldn't even drive for 10 weeks. They put a medical. They usually let you drive after 6 weeks after surgery, sometimes 8, 10 weeks. I couldn't drive. If that happened to you, would you still be able to maintain the life that you got? Someone think about it. Is that true? Is it important? Some of you probably do pretty well because I hear a lot of engineers, IT background, man, congratulations. If your income is W-2, it's pretty dangerous, my friend. Because the moment, if you're out 3 months, you think your boss wants you back? I retired last April 25th. August 28th is when I'm having my surgery. You talk about life throwing things at you, right? I was in the middle of a CEO run. I was planning to wrap it up for November, Ben. I was out 3 months. I lost some momentum. We came back and finished in January.
Wow.
Because I knew exactly what I wanted to do. When I went full-time, I was an SMD 11 months ago. I went full-time. 40 days later, we wrapped up our EMD and green jacket. Right? 10 months to that point, or 9 months to that point, we wrapped up our CEO, and I was out 3 months. Broke $250,000 while end of January. Over $300,000 right now. You think I'm gonna break $500,000 by the time we walk into Vegas?
Yes. Yeah.
You think in the next 6 months, 9 months, you think I'll break $1 million?
Yes.
See, you got to see it already. You know where my thinking is? I think I make $5 to $7 million already. I'm just waiting for my income to catch up. You understand? It's a big difference. Look, you got to understand something. Last year we gave over $70,000 in charities away. So we save, we also give. You want to do more for people, is that true? If you do more for people, you got to make more money.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
You understand, you got to get your priorities right. I tell people, some of you want to drive the biggest thing out there, want to live in the biggest house, right? You could have all that with time, but you can't do it when you don't have the money. If you got to work to pay for those things, you don't have money.
That's right.
If you bought your house today and you don't have cash to back it up, dangerous place to be, my friend. Sell it. Put your money in the IUL and buy later. People get mad at me when I say that. Everything we buy in our life, I was taught one thing years ago. I grew up in the Middle East. I spent my first 16 years born in a little country called Kuwait. My parents are from India. They used to work in Kuwait, so I was born there. We used to pay 8 cents a gallon for gas. Moved to New York in 1990 after the invasion. That's another whole story.
Wow.
Lived in New York, finished my high school over there. Gas was 95 cents a gallon. How much is gas, by the way, in California?
$3.85.
So from $1 20 years ago to 3 something today, that's 300%. Is that true?
Yeah.
If you were making $50,000 30 years ago, are you making $150,000 today?
No.
So what happened to your money? Inflation. You love your boss. I heard people all the time, I love my job. Man, that's great. Would you still go to work if they didn't pay you? Make it really value the way you think. Is that true? It's okay to love you. Man, I walked away when I enjoyed my job. I walked away. The day I walked away, I was like, man, I was kind of nervous because I like my career. Does that make sense? Anybody like that? You like doing what you're doing. There's nothing wrong with it. It's great they pay you for it. They had a high level of respect. I ran the department like it was my business unit. And the CEO, me and the CEO had a personal relationship. We were good people. He's my house, I'm in his house. That's the kind of relationship we had in corporate America. That only happens when you have a level of confidence that people value your opinion. Is that true?
Mm-hmm. Right.
I got a chance to spend some time in Swan's house about 10 years ago. 10 years ago, we're just an MD. He had one of the EDCs now, JB and Monley, one of my CEOs. We had a chance to go hang out with him. And what I remember, even from 10 years ago, the way his servant leadership is. He served us food on a plate and showed us how to eat it.
Wow.
If you ever got a chance to hang out with Swan. And wow, good people. Is that true?
Yes.
And I said, man, what company does that? They don't know you, right? But here we are. We had an opportunity to go, and I did. You got local leadership right here, and you don't show up to the webinar on time. I see that, man. You guys come dragging in. You come dragging into the meeting. We talk about 9 a.m. meeting. You come at 9:30, 10 o'clock, right? And then you show up 2 days, and you don't show up for the other 4, but you want to win. You got to change the way you think if you want to win. Because you know what? The moment you go to work, the boss tells you to be there 8 o'clock, you show up at 8 o'clock. Is that true?
Yeah.
We tell you to come here at 9, you talk about traffic. They said, well, you don't understand. The Bay Area, 2.5, 3 hours of traffic. I said, is that right? Yes. Why don't you leave early enough? I mean, you got to change the way you think. You want to make money, but you can't change the way you think. Well, how's that going to happen? You're not going to make excuses that make money. It's not going to work. 15 and a half years ago, I gave up playing basketball. I love playing basketball twice a week. Man, that was one of my things I wanted to do. Me and the boys, we got together, we played basketball. I used to watch a little bit of TV. That's what I used to do in my spare time. I felt like I earned it, right? How many of you feel like, man, you earned that time? WG comes into my life, messes me up. How many of you feel like you got messed up? Look. So what happens? I got to give up basketball because the nights the meetings are on is on my basketball night. So now I got to make a decision. Do I play basketball? And matter of fact, the friend that got me in the business, I used to play basketball with him. So I'm like, man, he's not at the meeting. He recruited me on a basketball night when he's supposed to be at the meeting. You know what? 4 months later, he quit. There's 4 people between me and the direct person I'm linked to right now. Right? 4 people quit. You know what my appliance override last year was from off my leg? $220,000. Is that okay for you to stick around? And they're SMDs, and I'm CEO, right? Is it okay for you to stick around long enough and you just make, and they go, Lee, you're making me too much money. I said, adopt me back. Just give it back to me. Your leaders are waiting for you to make them too much money. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I told them, hey, look, end of this year, you guys gonna make $500,000. If you think that's too much, you can adopt me back. By the way, they're Filipinos. Is that okay? Is that okay? You stick around longer. You know how long they've been in the business? About 18 years. Is it okay for them? They're retired, by the way. They're 70 years old. They're 70 years old, making about $240,000 from the business right now. They got another S&D leg that makes them some money, right? And they still got their pension. They got their retirement. They're okay. Is that true?
Yeah.
Is it okay in the Houston area you make about, I don't know, about $250,000, $275,000 a year? I don't know about you. Is that okay here? See here, you know what I realized in California? You got to make about $1.5 million for you to be comfortable. $1.5 million.
Yep.
If you're not making $1.5 million, man, you don't have any money. 14 years ago, I got 3 minutes. 14 years ago, somebody at the convention in Vegas, hopefully you guys are going to Vegas, a gentleman got up and said, if you're not making or saving $50,000 a month, you're not making any money.
Wow.
That hit me. At that time, we were saving about $2,000 a month, and I was like, man, he's talking about 50 grand a month. I got to know how to do that. Okay, that was 14 years ago, man. Swan gets up 3 speakers later to close out a session. He goes, if you're not paying 7 figures in taxes, you're not a man. So I take it, most of us here is not paying 7 figures in taxes. Is that true? So we still boys. Is that true? Is that okay for us to work our way to paying 7 figures in taxes? I want to know what that feels like, man. You know, we write taxes every year, like enough to buy a luxury car. Every year, right? But I want to know what it feels like to get into that 7 figures.
Yeah.
Talk about a second. I'm going to wrap this up here. How many of you make $60 an hour here? $60 an hour. Times 40, you work 40 hours a week for that. That's $2,400. Is that true?
Yes.
What if you were an SMD contract, senior marketing director with a firm, and you do one client, $250 a month, all week for 40 hours, okay? Which means you sat down with at least, you know what the number comes out, about 7 clients, you're gonna close at least 2 for the week.
That's great.
Is that okay? Can you do 7 appointments for the week? It's very doable. If you're gonna be a G School, I'm gonna talk about how I'm doing about 40 to 50 on a night using technology. That's how I'm gonna compress time. I like what you did, Ben, with your MD in Alaska. I'm gonna take that back home. But look, let me ask you this. Senior marketing director, 80% contract of $24,000 or $3,000. How much is that? $2,400. $2,400? Look, Do you want to work 60 bucks an hour for somebody else to tell you, if you're making 60 bucks an hour, they own you? Is that true?
Yes.
They tell you what to do. You got to keep up with the projects. They got to have you everything running. Is that true?
Yes.
Can you work here the next 9 to 12 months, 20 hours a week minimum? You got to put 20 hours a week. If you put anything less, it's not going to work for you. 20 hours a week. That was the magic number I figured out for you to build a business, part-time. That's the point it gets to a part-time business. Anything less than 20 hours, this is a hobby for you. And hobbies never made anybody any money.
Oops.
Is that true?
Always say it.
Hobbies don't make people money.
That's
You
right.
spend money to do that. So you're going to spend your money coming here. You're going to spend your money going to the convention because you're not putting your 20 hours a week. Put 20 hours a week, 9 to 12 months, you're a senior marketing director. Don't you think most of you go full-time here? Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an absolute honor and privilege for me this morning to share with you. I hope I see some of you this evening. I look forward to working with you.